ATF just backtracked. It's a major policy shift that could save gun dealers, but there's a catch that nobody's talking about. And I want to thank my friend who's on the inside who told me about it. I want to make you aware of it. Let's talk about it, guys. Is the ATF finally backing down from its war on gun dealers? Well, a new policy just dropped on Friday, and it might just be the first step in walking back the Biden-era zero-tolerance crusade that has shut down honest FFLs across the country. But before we pop the corks, we still have a lot we need to unpack on this. Like I said, unless you're talking to somebody who knows, you might miss this part. And you're going to want to hear every detail of this. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and enable the notifications so that you never miss a beat when it comes to your rights. And thank you to today's sponsor, Blackout Coffee, patriotic, pro-2A, and 100% committed to keeping the American spirit alive, just like we are here on Guns and Gadgets. The ATF released a 30-page bombshell, Order 5370.1H Hotel. The new Federal Firearms Administrative Action Policy is what it's called, and it's replacing last year's version, 5370.1G Golf, and it's the blueprint on how the ATF goes after, or chooses not to go after, federal firearms licensees when they find violations during inspections. So what's changed? The biggest update is they've officially repealed the infamous zero-tolerance policy, yes, that one, where single clerical errors could mean the ATF kicked down your door and crushed your livelihood. This repeal comes alongside a new push to review major Biden-era rules on pistol braces and who counts as engaged in the business of selling firearms. The translation, they're realizing that their one-size-fits-all enforcement, the hammer they've been using, is unconstitutional and politically unsustainable, especially after Bruin. Now, what's in this ATF Order 5370.1H Hotel? This document is the ATF's manual for deciding when to issue a warning letter, when to suspend a license, or when to pull the plug on an FFL altogether. Now, let's break down what this new policy really says. The key changes. Number one, no more automatic revocations for minor violations. That's key. Under the old policy, even honest mistakes like a misplaced date or a misfiled 4473 could justify license revocation. If I told you that I lived at 1 Main Street and somehow you or someone at your FFL business put in 1 Main Drive or 1 Main Avenue, that little error alone could cost you your license. Now, ATF agents must assess violations individually, considering intent, repetition, and whether the issue impacts public safety. That's the new thing. Number two, more flexibility and discretion for inspectors, the IOIs. Now, agents are instructed to use administrative actions proportionally to the actual risk. Now, this is a move away from being an enforcer of gun control and back toward being a regulator, albeit one that still operates under a very wide scope. Number three, emphasis on willful violations. The policy defines willful as intentional, knowing, or repeated disregard for the law, not honest mistakes. Here's an example. If a licensee accidentally checks the wrong box on a single background check form, that's not going to be treated as the same as someone who repeatedly sells to prohibited people without any documentation, right? Why the new policy shift now? Well, this move didn't happen in a vacuum. Believe me when I tell you that. Zero tolerance was backfiring hard on the administration, the previous administration. Over the last 2 years, hundreds of gun shops were targeted and shut down over what should have been considered administrative infractions. Lawsuits started piling up, Congress began demanding answers, and even state attorneys general accused the ATF of targeting lawful businesses to reduce the number of FFLs in this country without any new law from Congress. In fact, the House Judiciary Committee began investigating the ATF's abuse of power, and whistleblowers have described politically motivated enforcement orders handed down from Washington. Now, after the Bruin decision, which requires that any gun regulation must be deeply rooted in American history and tradition, and the ATF's regulatory regime started looking very unconstitutional. Duh. So now they're walking it back, but only partially, and there's that nugget I'm going to tell you about too. Here's the good news, as well as the bad. The good news, if you're a small town FFL who's been sweating bullets for every compliance inspection, this update might give you some breathing room. Now you'll be judged on intent, not just a gotcha moment on your paperwork. The bad, the policy still gives the ATF tremendous discretion. There are still vague guidelines and no third-party oversight for how decisions are made. This isn't a law, it's an internal policy by the agency. It can be reversed the moment another anti-gun administration takes office, just the way they just undid Joe Biden's policy. Now, the important note here is this policy doesn't undo damage that's already been done. It doesn't restore revoked licenses. It doesn't compensate those who lost their businesses to Biden's crackdown. And that is just plain wrong. Now, here's the inside information I told you about. You've been waiting all this time. Here it is, right from the inside. The adverse action that the new policy kind of went back to the prior policy before Joe Biden's zero tolerance policy, but there's still a big issue. ATF IOIs have been told to educate people rather than citing them, which is great. That's the way it was. It's the way it should be. Hey, you made this error because maybe you didn't know. Let's fix this error. We'll get you back going right down the road in the right direction. And Bob's your uncle. You'll be good. Just fix what we told you to fix. But at the beginning of this new order here, ATF's management put in a single statement that kind of changes everything. It's basically saying you shall cite. Not like, hey, I can just give you like a little verbal coaching. No, it says you shall cite. And before I show you this actual part of the order that says that, let me show you what their press release says, just a quick segment of it, and then I'll show you the actual order, what it says, and you tell me if you see any potential issues. And this will be linked down below. Here's the key points to the updated policy. Context-driven enforcement. Serious willful violations may lead to administrative action, while minor or clerical errors may be addressed with education or warnings. See, that doesn't say it has to be cited. And that's their press release. Yeah, keep that in mind. It says no automatic revocation. Removes the prior policy's presumption of license revocation, instead considering intent, compliance history, and public safety risks. Stronger public safety focus. Investigators must evaluate whether continued operations pose a public safety threat or contribute to the violent crime, and whether the licensee demonstrates the ability to comply moving forward. Clear legal standards and timelines. Defines key terms such as willful and knowing, and establishes uniform timelines for reviews, action, and coordination. And support for lawful industry engagement. ATF continues early intervention and collaboration with responsible licensees while firmly addressing repeat or serious violations. All right, now remember the first one I said? It says that clerical errors may be addressed with education and warnings. Well, this is what the policy actually says here. Number 4, under background, we'll go to C. An ATF F5030.5 report of violations shall be issued to the FFL for any material violations identified during an inspection. The issuance of an ROV, that's the report of violations, is not an administrative action, but rather a documentation of an inspection's findings. So on one hand, they're saying, we don't have to cite you and jam you up. We can just educate you, give you a little help. But the actual policy says, we're gonna put it on paper. We're gonna cite you because they're citing your violation. But if it's serious, you'll still get revoked. If it's not serious, we'll counsel you. Yeah, it's kind of vague. It's a tactical retreat of some sort, but it's not a surrender by the ATF. And it's only happening because of your voices, your lawsuits, and your votes. Gun owners have made their voices heard, and we better not stop. Guys, I tell you and tell you and tell you, there is tremendous value in reaching out and contacting your legislators. We have been seeing policy change routinely because of pressure put on legislators, including Donald Trump and the White House and anything at ATF, all of them, the DOJ, just because of X, Twitter. Now is not the time to back off. It's time to double down. If you have issues with this, contact your senators and your representatives at the national level. Demand legislative safeguards to stop future weaponization of the ATF. Support lawsuits that are challenging these rogue agencies. And most importantly, stay informed and stay active. Before I wrap up, a huge thank you to Blackout Coffee for sponsoring today's video. If you believe in freedom, self-reliance, and waking up with purpose, Blackout Coffee is your brand. Whether you're brewing a pot for the range or loading up for a long day, grab a bag of coffee, a can of our cold brew, some K-Cups, or even instant premium coffee. Yes, we do that as well. And support a company that supports you. Check out blackoutcoffee.com/GNG and use code GNG10 for a discount on your next order. Guys, this new ATF policy proves one thing. Pressure works. We've seen what happens when bureaucrats overreach. We've watched hundreds of American businesses be crushed. And now, ATF is blinking. But let's be clear. Freedom only survives when patriots stand up for it. Don't assume that this battle is over. It's just a pause. The next administration could reinstate zero tolerance with a stroke of a pen. Stay vigilant, stay loud, and stay armed with knowledge. Subscribe here to Guns and Gadgets. Share the video and help us spread the word. The Second Amendment isn't just ink on parchment. It's the backbone of American liberty. Stay safe, stay vigilant, stay free, stay armed, and stay ready. Take care, America.